2, 1. Welcome everybody to Ladder Daily Digest and Midlife Revolution and Momo No, where we're doing a weekly dive into the news, where we're democratizing the news by allowing people to comment on it compared to other channels. Welcome, Megan and Randy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me back once again.
That's right.
I know we debated, Gene and I, we thought, should we really let Megan come on this week? And guess what? You won. Yay.
Well, if you ever wanted to do the show without me, all you would have to do is just not do it at the regular time. And I'd be sitting there in the studio going, where is everyone? And then I would eventually give up and go away. And then you could do it later without me and I would never know.
Hey, That's we know we are nothing without you, Megan.
Passive aggressive.
That is not true at all.
So recently in the news, there was an open letter to, I don't know who it was necessarily. It was like to the church and to some Argentinian stake and to the mission president not stake, but Argentine mission, and to the mission president of that stake, because apparently this mission president was kind of abusive to the missionaries there. So we thought we would start with that as the headline, and we'll cover other news as it comes up.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear this story because I haven't read it at all. So I'm interested to know what you consider to be kind of abusive.
Yeah. And
it's a lot like somewhat abusive. Very similar.
Very similar, Sue. Okay. Well, let's hear
it. And I actually forgot to load it up, and so I'm going to have to look for it. Randy, did you read it at all or see that?
I sure did. Yeah. That he was not taking care of the needs of the missionaries, very stern, and it's as though he was looking for any reason he could find to discipline them and send them home, which sounds like my second mission president. My first one was great. My second one just had a real stick up his butt, and it's as though he wanted to send as many missionaries home as he could. And we had some missionaries that were playing with the deck of cards. They weren't gambling. They weren't, doing anything naughty, except for they were playing cards. And he sent them home. Are you kidding me? What?
There's something about the older generation, and in my estimation, I'm talking about my grandparents' generation. They really did not like face cards. There was some general authority said something at some point about face cards. And so we weren't even allowed to play solitaire when I was a kid. We didn't have face cards at all. We just had Uno, and that was it.
Well, they're manufactured in hell. I don't know if you knew that.
I wasn't aware.
Himself developed them.
If you're just going to have one game, that sounds like the very best game to have, the one game. The Uno.
Yeah, you can play almost anything if you have a deck of Uno cards. But I always found it strange because, I remember asking my parents, and the excuse was something that it had the faces of kings and queens on it or something. I have no idea what the real reason was, but someday I'm going to look it up and figure it out.
Yeah, they're evil, Megan, and I would highly advise you not to touch a deck of cards.
Well, I hate to disappoint you, Randy, and I hope this doesn't tarnish my image, but I have developed a habit of buying a deck of cards every time I visit a new place. So okay. I probably have 30 or 40 sets of cards because I like to play nerds. So
you've just been tarnished, Megan.
Well, if that's what tarnishes me, then so be it, I guess. Wait until you hear more.
That's the way to go. If you're going to get tarnished, do it over a deck of cards.
Yeah. And I'm sorry I had to laugh. I totally thought you were going to say sounded a lot like my second wife, not my second mission president. But yeah, I was also told that it was something to do with gambling. And faces being on the cards. So,
Hmm.
Jean, do you have your story, or should we hear a word from our sponsor?
Let's hear a word from our sponsor real quick.
Wait, can I introduce it?
Sure.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
Thank you, Randy. Do you have extra money that you would like to donate to an organization that definitely doesn't need it? Try paying tithing. That's right. When you pay tithing to the LDS Church, not only can you rest assured that the church doesn't need your money, we will also guarantee that less than 0.1% of your generous donation will go to anyone in need of food or clothing. Try paying tithing today. Back to you, Randy.
Thank you, Megan. And in the event that you're interested in investing in malls, farmland, apartment complexes, and other businesses that might generate an income, pay your tithing. Make the church a little richer.
Oh, I love that tagline.
Sure.
There you go.
That's
That was great,
awesome.
Randy.
Thanks, Randy.
Thanks.
And Randy, give your other commercial that I have you do at the start of our shows.
Well, here's the thing. We are pretty damn cool, the three of us. We are fun. I just wanted you to know that. And what's really cool is all of you that are watching. We love that too. So here's what we would love for you to do. I know this is so cliche to say, hit the like button and subscribe, but would you, and share, by the way, but would you hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't? Because it makes us look a little cooler. And we would greatly appreciate that.
It definitely helps get the word out. And the last two shows that we've done, one was on spotlighting floodlit, and the other was other abuse in the church in general, mostly child SA. And those have been very well received. We're more than a one-trick pony. We're going to have other news things as the weeks move on. But today, happens to be a little bit more about abuse. And I was still looking for the exact reference to the other show that I was trying to get but here's an example of abuse from missionaries. And if anybody wants to call in at any time, or if they have missionary stories that they want to share that shows a pattern of abuse in the church, we're happy to have that right now. So this is Church Illegally Takes Passports from Missionaries. And it's a post on Reddit, ex-Mormon Reddit. Back in my home country in Eastern Europe, a friend of mine was called to serve a mission in Western Europe. His MTC date was set for June, but before leaving, he decided to take the entrance exam for medical school. He didn't expect to pass. He just wanted some practice for when he would return from his mission. While he was at the MTC, he got surprise news from his parents. He had actually been accepted to medical school with a very good score. Being a recent convert, he got baptized in March last year. He thought maybe he could serve just a few months instead of the full 2 years. So yes, he did not know the culture. Then returned home for the academic year. To secure his place, his parents paid half of the first year tuition, about 4,500 euros, which is a lot of money. He didn't tell the MTC president about his plans. When he arrived in his mission area, the office elders immediately took his passport, claiming it was necessary for his visa. As a European citizen, he didn't need a visa to live in another EU country. During his first interview with the mission president, he mentioned that he planned to return for school at the end of September. The mission president apparently thought this was a joke. About a month into his mission, he realized it wasn't for him. The conditions were harsh, barely enough money to live, expectations to work while sick, and strict rules. He called the mission president and asked to be released. The mission office was furious. They placed him in a trio with the zone leaders, refused to return his passport, and told him to pray and repent because it was a trial. And what do we say? The church isn't it's not a cult.
Oh, it's not?
I
I
thought
was
it.
struggling to come up with a word.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
actually say that it is, but okay.
Yes, we say it, but facetiously we say not a cult, right? When we identify culty behaviors.
When you said the church is not, I thought you wanted us to say healthy. It's not healthy.
or friendly or
Church
kind.
is not kind. The church is not about family. I mean, we could go on.
That's right.
Yes.
So anyway, in Europe, national ID cards can serve the same purpose as passports, and his parents bought him a plane ticket early one morning. He packed a carry-on and left. The zone leaders tried to stop him, but he threatened to call the police. They didn't step aside. Missions are cults within a cult anyway, right?
Yep.
At the airport, the mission president met him. Instead of trying to persuade him to stay, he threatened disciplinary action. My friend calmly told him that if he didn't return his passport, he would report him to the authorities. The mission president finally handed it over, pleading with him to reconsider. His last words to my friend were, "Do you have any idea how much harm you caused to my mission? This is every mission president's nightmare." Probably he was expecting some general authority calling, and having some missionaries running away doesn't look good. But keep in mind, MO live in missions. Mission office officials live in mansions while missionaries live in cockroach-infested flats. Now his friend's starting a medical degree and feeling a lot healthier and happier. So that's one example of some abuse that this mission president thought it was his mission, right? It wasn't working in the name of the Lord. It was his mission. And yeah, maybe it was going to take away from his potential general authority job if he has bad news coming out of his mission.
I think they might have been describing every apartment that I lived in on my mission as a cockroach infested flat, because we lived in some pretty crappy conditions with no heat. When we would, well, excuse me for being crass, but when we would pee, the steam would rise up because it was so cold in our place. And yeah, and I tried not to breathe that steam in, by the way.
Yeah. I know from personal experience when my former spouse was taking the missionary lessons, we went through several sets of missionaries, and I was constantly having to give them rides places because they were biking elders and they didn't have their own car, and it was hot, it's over 100 degrees. So I would frequently pick them up from their apartment to bring them to our house to give a lesson and then take them to their next lesson. And they let me in on a little secret that I didn't know before. The church rented these apartments, and they were the cheapest apartments in the area. I did know that, but I didn't know that the church signed a 10-year lease in order to get a huge reduction in the rent. And so they would just pass this apartment from one set of missionaries to the next, often with very little oversight on the condition that the apartment was left in. And so there were often holes in the wall. There were often problems with bugs and other things. They were often very dirty and not well cleaned and not well taken care of. And so I thought that was pretty gross that they had to live in those conditions.
Yeah, we very rarely had like a kitchen that we could cook in. Most of the places that we lived was just a bed and one bedroom and a bathroom, and that's it. If we wanted to cook something, we'd have to get permission from the landlord to use his or her kitchen. Yeah.
So you didn't even have like a sink and a hot plate and stuff?
No. Well, there was probably half of the places that I lived, we had to eat out. And this brings to mind my place in Madrid, Spain, right downtown, where all we had was a room and we could use their bathroom, and that was it. So we had to find a way to eat that we could afford. And there was a Chinese restaurant down below our apartment and about half mile away. And we could go in, and for 50 cents, we could get some rice on a plate. And of course, we'd order water. And so we'd eat and would get that 50-cent serving of rice. And then there was another place I lived where we had to eat, and I think I've mentioned this before. There was a Catholic charity that the nuns put on, and it was a soup kitchen where you could go and get served a serving of soup and a piece of bread for a quarter, or it was about the equivalent of a quarter. And yeah, that's how we lived. It was paycheck to paycheck, and our paychecks, there was always a lot of month left at the end of the money, if you know what I mean. So
Mhm.
yeah, so we scraped and scrounged, and you know, every now and then, if we all pooled our funds, maybe we could buy some cheese for the apartment, if there were multiple missionaries living there. Otherwise, to eat meat, we'd have to go to the butcher and have them grind up cow tongue, like you could get a half a tongue, or any of the innards, and grind it, a heart, that's what it was, beef hearts. And we'd have them grind that up, and that's what we'd use for hamburger. And
Wow.
yeah, so I can totally relate to, it cracks me up when I hear missionaries today trying to decide which member's house they're going to go to for dinner. Who cooks the best? I could count the number of dinner appointments I had when I was on my mission on 3 fingers. And
Wow.
yeah, and that was over 2 years.
Wow.
So I have a hard time finding any sympathy for these missionaries who are out there now, who the ward passes around a list of what day you're going to have the missionaries over for dinner.
And they get to
Yeah.
call home once a week.
Right.
We are right. Yeah. Yeah. We got one call on Christmas morning and one call on Mother's Day, and that was it.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, my nephew served in Liberia. He went out in 2019 and then had to come home during the pandemic. And God bless him, he served, as a missionary while he was home for those 4 months, and then went back to Liberia. And the first area that he was in, before he got sent home because of COVID, they had, in their kitchen, he said there was no food in the cabinets, no dishes in the cabinets, nothing. So he and his companion went out in the morning to the market, and they got some rice and some beans, and they brought it back to the apartment and put it in the cupboard, and then went out and knocked doors all day. And when they came back, there were literally dozens of rats on their countertop, in their cabinets, and all over the apartment, because they had, devoured these dry rice and beans that the elders had brought home. And then somebody was like, yeah, I forgot to tell you, you can't really store food in your apartment. You just have to buy it and cook it and eat it right then, and don't leave anything. Otherwise, the rats will come in.
I
Wow.
would have celebrated saying, hey, fresh meat.
It's right. Rat for dinner.
We'd trap those damn things.
Right. Better than bullfighting bulls meat.
Oh, anything is better than that. Oh, I hear the bat phone ringing.
Uh-oh, the bat phone's ringing. Hello?
Boy, it sounds like we're in a
Are you
casino.
there? Can you hear me? Hello? I've got it on speaker, so I don't know. Oh, they hung up. I guess it was a crank call.
A crank call? Not to be confused with a prank call.
Yeah, I
Crank
don't know.
call, isn't that the thing where you turn the crank to get the phone going in the old days?
Exactly. Yes, exactly. You guys didn't know?
Yeah, so the mission does not care, in my opinion, at least it was in my mission. They didn't care about the well-being of the missionaries that were in the mission. We could, we went, and I won't repeat the whole story again, but we went for 7 days, and we had nothing but popcorn because that was the cheapest thing you could buy in the open market. And that was basically us just searching for spare change that we could get enough popcorn to have some food.
If
And
only
that
you had
gets,
Netflix. to watch with it.
Hello?
Yeah, right.
Caller, are you there? Can you hear me now? Okay. Yeah, but I don't think our audience can hear you. Hang on a second. Hang on one second. Let me figure this out.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
now can the audience hear you?
Hello.
Yes.
Hey, I hear him.
It's Kiki.
Hi. How are you guys?
Hi, Kiki.
We're doing great. Can you just hear me or can you hear Jean and Randy too?
I can only hear you.
Dang it. All right.
Oh,
Well,
man.
I'm trying to figure out the kinks on this weird situation, but it's not mathing. I don't know why. But anyway, I would love to hear your story. It sounds like you have a wild story about a cousin who went to Ukraine.
I do. So this was early 2000s, and we were having dinner as a family. He had just gotten home from his mission, and you know how they come home totally shell-shocked.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting with him, and I'm like, hey, how'd it go? Let's hear some stories. And he just sat there, and he goes, well, I was held at gunpoint and robbed, and then they said it was our fault, so we went to prison, and then they wouldn't let us call our parents. And he was just like staring down the whole time. He's like, so I was in prison for 2 weeks, and we couldn't get out, and they wouldn't let me call my mom or my dad. So I guess they're learning that right now. And we all just sat there like in total silence. And he was like, yeah, I'm glad to be home. And then everyone just started laughing. And that was all I heard of it.
Wow. That's
Yep,
crazy.
he had been home about a week when we had that conversation at dinner with the family.
So he sat in a Russian jail for 2 weeks and the
Yes.
mission president didn't alert his parents or anything?
Correct.
That's crazy. So were
Of
they just
all the
on the
stories,
street? Go ahead,
of
Randy.
all the stories he could have shared, that was what was on his brain, because it was probably PTSD.
Right. It was
kicking.
the most traumatizing story.
And how long ago did Kiki hear this story?
She said early 2000s, right? Kiki?
Yes.
So
20
he
years ago.
was in Ukraine right when they opened, pretty much. Is that true?
That's what I remember. Because it was, when I had just started college. So it was like 2002, 2003.
Wow, that's so crazy. Well, thank you as always for calling in with your story. And if you think of another one, you're welcome to call back.
I will. Bye, guys.
Bye. So that's just stunning to me that, first of all, I mean, you're in a country where probably Americans are not looked well upon, and the church wants to delude itself that we're just welcome everywhere. And, the missionaries probably think, well, we're just out here trying to help people. And so they get held up at gunpoint, and then the authorities end up blaming it on them and they end up in prison. So I'm really curious about what happened behind the scenes. And did the church get some attorneys or diplomats to come and figure this out? I just don't, I can't imagine.
On my mission, when we would meet someone on the street, I would say, literally, probably 70% of the time, they'd say, Mormones, Mormons, you're the ones that don't allow blacks, or you're the cult from America, right?
Right.
And of course, I had the answer down pat of what we were supposed to say. And I was lying through my teeth.
What were
Come
you
to
supposed
find
to
out.
say, Randy?
We were supposed to say, oh, no, we're not a cult. We are the restored Church of Jesus Christ back on the earth. And we're trying to spread the word of Jesus Christ and his teachings. And, of course, we now honor the rights of the African Americans in the United States. Of course, it had just happened the year I went on my mission.
Wow.
But the reason we didn't before, and then we had to give them that stupid Mark of Cain story. And I hate that. I hate that I told people that. I'm if I could go back and reverse time, I would say, actually, yes, we are a cult. And The reason we don't let blacks in to enjoy the full benefits of the gospel is because we're incredibly racist.
Yeah.
Two simple answers, because those are the correct answers. But I was indoctrinated. I was brainwashed.
Wow.
So I found the story, and it's on Megan Hayes' generally unquotable channel. And here's actually the link to it, to the thing that she read. I'm just gonna cruise through it, and I put in the chat the link to her episode, and it's basically says to the Brazil area presidency, not Argentina or whatever. So they're writing about the behavior of a mission president in Brazil. The person is a trained therapist. They believed him to be the mission president to be engaging in abusive, negligent, and otherwise toxic behavior. Let's see. They want everybody to be aware of these behaviors. And then they say, after reading the Book of Mormon, I know that, these aren't the things that Mormonism should be standing for mission presidents. Like one missionary traumatized because of how the president runs the mission. The mission president wanted everybody to spy on one another and report about the bad behavior, caused everybody to have, questions about who's talking to them and why are they asking them questions and stuff like that. And it sets up a system of fear and distrust among missionaries, and it's disgusting to us. He would show up unexpectedly to do interviews and threaten them with punishments if they didn't gossip about their companions. Another missionary was told that unless they spied and told the president all the bad things their companion was doing, he would send the missionary home. And the missionary said there was no bad things. The mission president wanted them to lie about it. And another missionary reported that for 3 weeks in a row, they begged for help because their companion was verbally and physically abusive. And despite all this being reported in the weekly letters, the mission president didn't offer any help to the missionary. And so then they talked to their parents. The missionary talked to their parents, and the missionary got reprimanded by the president for talking to the parents about what was going on. And I'll say that my third missionary child that's serving son, he served in Rio de Janeiro. His mission president was mad because the Christmas call went overtime, right? But partly the reason why it went overtime was because we chatted with the family that was there. We chatted with, about different things. It wasn't like we were abusing any type of thing, but the mission president restricted their electronic communications, so he couldn't email us. So he was writing letters, but mail from Brazil takes about a month. So after 2 weeks, we're going, what's going on with our son? And we called the mission office. The mission president didn't return any of our emails. The mission, who works at the mission office, the assistant to the president's, one of them talked to us and said, he's sorry, but the mission president doesn't like to, deal with these issues or whatever. And it's like, it's just inconceivable that the mission president wouldn't let us know ahead of time, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you're not going to get an email from your son this week because of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, he's like punishing us for it. And so that was a part of my decline in believing that the leaders of the church had any type of authority, right?
Or discernment.
Another missionary wanted to be sent home. Was sent home. Right. The president wanted to send the missionary home, not for any egregious disobedience, but because the president didn't like the missionary. But the missionary wanted to continue serving and refused to go home. In retribution, the president deactivated their money card so they were unable to buy food. What a good guy. A true Christian, in my opinion, being facetious about it. Sarcasm. Eventually, the missionary ran out of food and was forced to leave a mission that they sincerely wanted to serve. The president commanded missionaries that they must not speak with their parents about him or the issues within the mission. And that reminds me, another son said that he couldn't tell us how things were going because the mission president didn't want the missionaries to write anything bad about the mission. So he couldn't tell us what was really happening because he felt that it was against mission rules to.
Now that's the cultiest thing ever, to say you can't say anything negative about the mission. And what does that remind you of? It's
North
not okay
Korea.
to say, yeah, North Korea. You also can't say anything negative about the church while you're a member, or about the leaders while you're a member, because, you know, even if the criticism is true, it's not okay to criticize leaders.
That's right. The mission president said, "You are not to talk to your parents about your mission. You must talk to me. I am your father now, Luke."
Whoa.
But anyway,
That reminds me of the Moonies, where Reverend Moon wanted his followers to call him father.
right. And the Doe
And his wife, mother.
the the Comet cult in the 1990s, Heaven's Gate.
Yeah.
They wanted to be called mother and father, I believe, as well.
Yikes.
Let's see. Whenever parents attempted to contact the president about their children, there was no communication from the mission office. Ta-da. Oh, wow. This is from Brazil. Of course, this is 15 years ago that my son was in Brazil, but I guess maybe this mission president, who's now my child's mission president, is now in the 70s, and maybe he's training mission presidents to be just like him in Brazil. Who knows?
Yeah, wow.
They are told not to respond to any family or friends who emailed them.
What?
And they're only allowed to send out one email, and may not respond to any family or friends who email them, apart from their one "everything's going well on my mission" kind of a letter,
Wow.
right?
Yeah, their propaganda
direct-
that they have to send out.
No direct responses. Forbidden from doing any kind of service for members and new friends. Oh yeah, that's the new word for investigators. It's called friends. Without the permission of the mission president, but he never gives permission. Missionaries must remain isolated from one another and may not socialize or converse with the fellow missionaries within their districts on P days. So anyway, they say, I find this mission president's actions deplorable, and I will not stand back and watch these missionaries experience abuse at the hands of someone called to guide, love, and serve them. Sincerely, this writer, M. M is an avid believer in justice, divine femininity, and sweet treats. Those are three things I believe in too.
I would love to comment on this. Through an experience I had, I lived in a town called Valladolid, and it was my all-time favorite town on the mission. I grew to love those people, and I was there an unprecedented 6 months. And that's when the mission presidents changed. My first president, his name was President Nixon. He was freaking amazing. He really was a man of God.
He was not a crook.
He was not a crook. Wrong Nixon, but he was an incredible man. And he was kind. Everyone loved him. Now I recently learned that before he passed away, he was excommunicated because he had written a book, and in that book it contained truths about the church history, and the church requested that he change the facts, and he didn't, and they excommunicated him. But my second mission president, you know how we remain anonymous to be kind? Well, I won't say his name, except it was President Tucker. And he was...
Tucker, the mother, something?
Yeah, you got it. He was ruthless. And here's how he started out introducing himself to everyone. It was Christmas. This would have been my 6th month in Valladolid. It was Christmas time, so he called a Christmas conference, and he had everybody bring all of their luggage and all of their belongings to this conference in Madrid. We all had to catch a train or a bus or however we could get there. And it was a long trip. So we all went into the main chapel there in Madrid, and there was barely enough room for the entire mission's luggage and belongings. And in that conference, he announced that to introduce himself, he was going to start fresh and have a fruit basket turnover. And he transferred everybody. Everybody in the mission was transferred to a different town. Now, I had all these Christmas plans with those people that I loved so much in Valladolid.
Yeah.
It was going to be such a sweet experience. And, it was like my family. And suddenly, without even being able to tell them, we were all gone. And it's new missionaries, because he didn't want anyone getting too familiar or having too much of a celebration at Christmas.
Gosh,
And
that's just awful.
I hate him. I hated him for that. We all ended up in towns where we knew nobody for Christmas. And it was right before Christmas, so we couldn't get to know anybody. So it literally ruined Christmas for all the missionaries.
His hero must have been the Old Testament God.
Grinch, was that his name?
God Grinch.
Yeah,
Wow.
I get peeved off just even talking about it, because he denied not only the missionaries, but all the members who loved those missionaries a warm Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. It's so awful. I'm so sorry. Just, these mission presidents, a lot of them are good people. A lot of them are not, though, and a lot of them are people who got sent on missions because they did something they weren't supposed to do. And that's something that a lot of people probably don't know, is that the church has this pattern that when somebody misbehaves, they send them on a mission so that they just, get rid of the problem, because we don't want to deal with it. We don't want to see it. And a lot of times, if they're already higher up in leadership, if they're on the high council or stake president level, they'll send them on a mission, make a mission presidents where they're over these young men and women. And I would be willing to bet that these mission presidents don't have any training about what is developmentally appropriate for this age of young men and women. And a lot of them are young enough that they've never had children that age either, and don't know how to deal with any of the issues that typically come up for these people as far as mental health goes. I'm sure they get a lot of legal training about what their responsibilities are. I also want to share, I have an anonymous text that came through. Somebody wanted to share this story, but did not want to call in or reveal the name of the person that this relates to. However, you talking about Spain must have brought this up for them. So they said that they had a friend who went to Spain, and she said she knew that Catholics were the church of the devil because there was so much idolatry in the Catholic Church. She hated Catholics. She said they worshiped idols and worshiped the devil openly, and they hated Mormons. It just shows the indoctrination. Instead of appreciating their culture and seeing these amazing Catholic relics and historical statues, she belittled it. So.
That is so 100% true and spot on. And that's what we were taught. The whore of the earth, as
the whore of all the earth.
Was it McConkie that wrote that?
It's in the Book of Mormon.
Yeah, the whore of the earth.
And
that really impresses. That really impresses the Catholic people, by the way, when you tell them that their religion is the whore of the earth, but we have the Church of Jesus Christ. Very effective.
I remember being in an institute class as a college sophomore, I think I was, and I remember somebody asking the institute teacher to please clarify what church is it that is the whore of all the earth. And I just remember looking around and being like, nobody's going to say it out loud, right? Because I kind of had my suspicions, but I'd never heard anybody like openly say it, because I thought that's really hateful to say that of an entire religion and entire religious people. I was like, I know Catholics that are good people, so I don't want to think of them as going to this church that's considered to be the whore of all the earth. Well, sure enough, she said, can you clarify for us which church it is that's the whore of all the earth? Because I've always assumed it was the Catholic Church. And I was like, I couldn't believe she said it out loud. And then, yeah, the institute teacher confirmed that was his suspicion as well, which I've always just found. It's like we were saying before, it's almost like the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints isn't Christ-like at all.
No.
I think Mormon
Right.
Doctrine, Bruce R. McConkie's book, the first edition that came out, had named the Holy Roman Catholic Church as the targeted whore of the earth. And that reminds me of a story, and I was really surprised to hear this, because Bruce R. McConkie, he was a 70, I think, when Randy and I were kids, and then he became an apostle soon around the same time. And he wrote his Mormon Doctrine as a 70, he wasn't an apostle. And the apostles, when he first wrote the book, formed a committee to review the book, and they found 931 errors in it and asked Bruce to fix them. And he fixed them. And then so then it got printed. And then he wanted to do a second edition or something like that. And they didn't want him to, but he did it anyway. And then they made up rules. Like, nobody can publish anything anymore unless it comes through our offices, right?
The committee.
What was
Yeah.
the name of the book, Gene? Was
Mormon Doctrine.
it Mormon Doctrine? Yeah. So that was
So nowadays it would be a Victory for Satan doctrine.
right. Yeah. That was practically canonized in our mission.
Yeah, Bruce's Bible.
That
One
was
of the books that was
one of the
approved.
books. Yeah. That was one of the books that we had and were allowed to read.
Yeah.
And that taught us all.
It was like the
things.
meat, right? Milk before the meat. And that
Right.
was like the meat. That was explaining things thoroughly, where you could not be questioned or have any other, what do you call it? When you try to hypothesize about what the gospel could be, you have your own pet theories or whatever. To eliminate theories of individuals, Mormon Doctrine had the answer to everything.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And it was obviously written through the Spirit of Jesus Christ. He obviously was right there guiding McConkie. And I wouldn't be surprised if he used a seer stone as he wrote it.
Yeah. It might be time for another word from our sponsor.
I think so.
Sure.
You want to introduce it again, Randy?
I'd love to. We're glad you're with us. And now, a word from our sponsor.
Are you a recent high school graduate looking for an exciting international experience? Then you should try serving an LDS mission. That's right. When you serve an LDS mission, you'll experience exciting cultures and learn new languages, sometimes as close by as Utah or Idaho. For just $400 per month, plus the cost of your own food and clothes, you can be shipped off to the foreign country that needs immediate replacements, along with the people whose applications were received the same day as yours. After a few weeks of indoctrination at the exciting Provo Missionary Training Center, you'll board a Delta flight that lands closest to your assigned area, surrender your passport, and work for 60 hours a week for up to 2 years, knocking on doors and accosting people in the street. When you serve an LDS mission, you'll get to experience the cognitive dissonance of encouraging single moms to pay their tithing instead of feeding their kids, telling regular people they have to stop drinking or they won't get into heaven, and telling members of the LGBTQ community that they have to be celibate for the rest of their lives. Try serving an LDS mission today. Back to you, Randy.
Thank you, Megan. And now, back to our show.
That sounded like something that everybody in America would want to do. I don't know why anybody would want to do that.
this whole show is practically about how exciting it is to serve an LDS mission.
You know, I got to tell you, growing up in the church, that was the expectation of a young man. And it's like, we're not going to force you to go on a mission, but you're a piece of shit if you don't.
Exactly.
I was entertaining. I was singing and doing ventriloquism and had a TV show. When I was young, I was a regular on a TV show. And when I got to be 19, that's how I earned all my money for my mission. I had an offer to go to Vegas and be a performer because I had a manager. And I declined, saying, oh, no, I'm going to serve a mission for 2 years and then I'll come back and be famous. I could kick my own ass for that, for declining. Because by the time I got home, then I was, doing that hurry and get married thing, because that's what we were commanded to do, get married right away and have kids. And guess what? I'm so thankful I had my kids, but there went my entertainment days. Then it was just a race to support my family. Thank you, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
So because Megan and I were super obedient as young people, we were able to avoid missions because we were so good.
Well,
You're a piece of shit, Gene.
When I was a younger person, the age for young women to serve a mission was 21. You had to be at least 21. And I was married at 20. And I also had a baby when I was 19. She was born a week before my 20th birthday. So I would not have been able to serve a mission.
Well, you know what? You should have taken your baby with you.
I think that would have been fabulous. In fact, if I'm thinking about reversing the gender roles, if there was a young man who had gotten a young woman pregnant, they definitely would have sent him on a mission. In fact, I think I know somebody that happened to, somewhere like back in the 70s, and then there's something with England involved. Anyway, that's a rabbit hole for another time.
Well, you need to remember that it's always the girl's fault.
It is indeed.
And especially if the boy holds the priesthood, he's okay. He's good.
Right.
It's
You
those boys that want the girls to hold their priesthood that are being bad.
The girls that become pornography.
That's right.
If they should show their shoulders.
You know what's ironic is that I never even did show my shoulders, and I ended up pregnant anyway. So had something to do with the fact that I was indoctrinated into never saying no to men for any reason ever.
I understand exactly what you're saying. And it's true. Sadly, we jest, but that's such a true statement that you made. These patriarchal pricks, as we call them, thinking that they can get away with whatever, and they can usually get away with whatever. And when the girls are the ones that are pointed at, that really burns my buns. I'm sorry you had to go through that.
Thank you for empathizing with me. I appreciate it. And, salt and pepper, you're right. That's what I understand is that babies come from bare shoulders and bare ankles, apparently. Whew.
I think I'm aware of a young woman in the church who was vocal about the fact that on Facebook, that her story that she was basically forced into having sex by a return missionary that they were making out, and she was like 15 and he was like 21, and
dear God,
and he basically forced her, because it's almost like consensual, but the women, like you say, Megan, you're just told to like do whatever. And she thought that she would be safe because as somebody who was, wearing garments, been on a mission, been, wouldn't do anything. And then it's too late, right? Then you're already on your way. And so
And that 15-year-old didn't have the sense to put a condom on that man.
No training.
Probably did not even know what that was or anything because, they don't have sex ed in Utah.
Exactly.
And even if you live in a state where they do have sex ed, my parents did not allow me to go to sex ed. I was the weird kid that had to go to the library while they showed the film.
I grew up on a horse farm. My dad raised racehorses, and we were always breeding the horses. We had a couple of studs, and would have men bring people bring their mares to get serviced by our studs. It was a pretty expensive deal because our studs had good bloodlines. But I had to assist in the breeding process. And, we'd have to wait till the mare came in heat and then back her up to the stud pen and open the gate and let him do his thing. And of course, this happened with all of our farm animals. And it started when I was about 13. So when I'm 21 and home from my mission and engaged to be married, a couple of days before my wedding, we were outside and my dad said, "Oh, son, is there anything you need to know about sex? Because, I'm here if you need to know anything." This was like a couple of days before my wedding. I said, "Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure I get what's going on, having bred horses my whole life." I'll bring a little levity into this. We had an old stud. His bloodline was incredible, but he was getting on in years. So when we would back a mare up to him, he couldn't quite get there, if you know what I mean. And he would end up sodomizing these mares. And so, of course, me being the son, I had the job of guiding him into the right orifice. And
No, thank you. Don't put me down for that job.
And I had to, my dad would be like, "Stay there, keep it in there." And so every time he'd slip out, I'd have to got it back in. And then when he was done, he'd pull out and this thing would be swinging all over, just flipping his goo all over me. And it was kind of enough to gag a maggot. I just thought I'd put that picture in your minds because that was a traumatic experience for me. So I had no questions about sex when I got married.
Thank you so much for sharing your trauma with us, Randy.
Sure, you're welcome.
I'm going to have to excuse myself from the screen.
Yeah.
I'm dying over here.
It's a good thing Randy is sharing that anonymously because I would hate to be associated with somebody that had a story like that happen to him.
I know it's pretty gross, but we had a guy approach my dad telling him that he was trying to teach his kids about the birds and the bees. And could he bring his family over for family home evening to watch us breed horses? My dad said, "Hell no. And you're not going to bring your family over to watch us breed." But I thought that was pretty interesting that for family home evening, he wanted to let his kids watch the horses get it on.
The birds and the
What?
bees.
For family home evening? This was
Yeah.
just
Yeah, it's to teach his kids the birds and the bees. And
I'm really not sure what is worse. Like the approach that my parents took where they expected my young women's leaders to teach me everything that I needed to know about chastity and morality, or for a dad to do that. I don't know. Let's vote. Which is worse? Option A is the lips zipped version, and option B is exposure therapy. Which is worse?
I don't
National
know.
Geographic method of
Oh my
sex
gosh.
education.
Yeah,
Well,
this was
Megan, once you and Kiki are done with the manual, you can have Randy come in for the ad hoc family home evening lessons.
Well, I think we're going to have to plan to do an FHE stories episode now.
Yeah, right. Maybe I can get some footage and present it for your listening audience and watching audience.
I really don't want any footage. Thank you, though, Randy, for your kind,
Yeah, no problem.
generous
We didn't.
offer.
Fortunately, we didn't have video capabilities back then, but even if we had, I would hope and pray that nobody would ever have videoed that,
Yeah.
because grosses me out now to think about it.
So my partner's daughter is very interested in being a large animal vet. And so she follows all these accounts on TikTok that, talk about how to feed and care for. She's in the process of caring for a goat. And, because that's in her algorithm, she got, a video that came up on her TikTok feed that was about someone taking a sample from a horse, and it was a, cowgirl taking a sample from a horse in order for it to be sold. And she was pretty traumatized by that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I get traumatized by it now, just jealousy of what those horses were endowed with.
I can't believe that this episode about Mission Perils has taken this turn. So maybe it's time for another word from our sponsor.
Have you wondered about sex? Have you explained to your kids about sex? If not, tune in to the Ladder Daily Digest and the
Yeah.
Megan Connor and
No.
Nomo Momo program, Salt Lake Expositor, where all your questions will be answered.
Yeah. I do
So-
have one more word from our sponsor if
So,
we
yeah,
want
Randy,
to try to get back on track.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
Thanks, Randy. Are you looking for a low-paying job with early morning hours and virtually no benefits? Well, then look no further than being an LDS seminary teacher. That's right. When you get hired as an LDS seminary teacher, you'll enjoy teaching classes that start at 5:30 a.m. to students who are a mix of the 100% attenders who will answer every question and never miss a day, and grumpy teenagers who are only there because their parents are making them. Imagine the joy of revealing to young people that a boy from a small town New York started having schizophrenic delusions when he was just about their age and went on to accidentally start the world's most financially successful cult when all he was trying to do was sell a book he wrote after pretending to find golden plates he pretended to translate using a magic rock. That's right. Try being an LDS seminary teacher today. Back to you, Randy.
Thank you, Megan, for that incredible message. And remember, those of you who are parents of those seminary students will love it too.
That's right.
Because you get up and take those kids to seminary.
Yes,
and now
we do.
back to the show.
That's right. And force them to go to sleep early too when they want to watch Monty Python or some other show.
Oh, I used to hate getting up early to take my kids to seminary. It's like the commercial said, you get nothing out of it, because then you've got to be there when they get out of seminary too. It's not like you can go home and go back to bed.
Too far away to go home. Might as well sit there. And you know what I used to do is I used to sit there and listen to the Joseph Smith Papers Project podcast while I was waiting for my daughter to come back out of seminary.
Well, that's nice. Hey, did you notice that my cup is color coordinated with my outfit?
Excellent. I love it.
And it's also good for pride. My cup. This is my pride cup.
Is it full of your delicious peanut butter coffee?
No, Megan, it's too late for that in the day.
Sorry.
This has my delicious mix of cherry and pineapple mango Crystal Light. Tim.
You guys are having too much fun.
Well, we've been pretty somber over the last few weeks, so we're lightening it up a little bit now, but still with a very serious message.
Oh, I know. Very serious.
So, Tim, you enjoyed your mission, but were there some things that were a little abusive?
No.
What about paying for your own mission?
My dad paid for my mission.
Okay.
Nice.
Well,
Um,
I'm sorry, Tim. These are all the wrong answers.
Well, what was your most memorable mission experience?
well, I've talked about what happened to my companion and his bike, and then me falling on the sidewalk and it being like rubber, and then tracking out a couple of whorehouses.
Finding tanks.
Wait.
Finding a tank
back up.
factory.
Is that what
Yeah.
you
Well-
called the Catholic churches in Germany?
No. Okay, what, Megan? What?
You just skipped right over tracking out whorehouses.
I know.
Yeah.
I was like, "Ooh."
The one in downtown Paderborn.
Did you know
Right.
it was a house of ill repute when you knocked on
No.
the door to share the good
No.
word?
No. We were doing street tracting or street. I think we were doing street board, and the guy gave us an address. Come on over when you're done. So my companion, myself, went right over when we were done.
He was messing with you, in other
Oh
words.
yeah.
Yeah.
Germany has a whorehouse in it. Lord have mercy on our soul. Best little whorehouse in Texas, by the way.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, did you get any converts, Tim?
I think 2.
No, I mean at the one specific place.
Oh no. No.
Any potential celestial companions there?
Probably.
Probably a lot of talk of the second coming. I'm just guessing.
And with that, guys, I'm going to sign off because we've been
No,
on an
don't.
hour.
No,
Oh,
stay with us.
Well, see, you got to call. We had to ask permission to call home. Okay, you got to call home, Randy, on what, Christmas and Mother's Day?
Mother's Day. Yeah.
We had to ask even to call anytime. So
I did not know that there was no set times to call home.
not in my mission. I had to ask my mission president, can I call home? Yeah, you can call home. All right, call home for Christmas, and I can't remember the other day.
I wonder when they instituted that just as a general rule.
Sounds like
Yeah.
they're transitioning.
And we had to carry our passports with us every day.
Yeah, I'm so
Well-
glad that you guys
well,
got
yeah.
to do that.
When you're in a war zone, basically a former war zone, right?
Well, it was the Cold War, and we're in West Germany, right? And the Russians could come across the border anytime. Yeah.
Did you have a code word that I
Pack
know?
the books.
Oh yeah, that's what we had too.
Pack the books.
And that would mean get the heck out of the country.
Get out of Dodge. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just in case. I guess that was I didn't know that was a universal code.
Yeah. We had people asking us if we were CIA or FBI a few times.
And you said not yet.
Right. Yeah. No, it wasn't. Okay. If it was abusive, I was never a senior companion until the last 2 months of my mission. I was a junior, and then I was a co-senior. And then I was finally a senior the last couple of months of my mission. So I guess that was some kind of an abuse. But our mission was so stale that it didn't make much difference.
Did you love your mission, President?
I did. I did. President Perker. Yeah, he was a German soldier. He told me about his time during the war. He was a medic and a forward observer. Yeah. I did. I loved the man. He was great. He was fun. He was great. He worked for Deseret Industries. When I went to school at BYU, I used to go and say hi to him once in a while when I drove by the DI there.
Oh, interesting. They had Deseret Industries in Germany?
No, in Provo. He ran the Desert Industries in Provo. They called him on a mission. He went back to the same job he had before.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess if I could complain about something, I guess not being a senior companion till the last couple of months of my mission. Like I said, it was so stale. For about a year, we were just all senior companion. It really didn't matter.
I guess missions were just very different back when the church was founded in 1830.
Yes, they were. Much yeah. No.
I'm sorry, Tim. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's okay. It's fine. You can rib me all you want, Megan. Yeah.
I know Gene and Tim are so old.
How old are they?
Really, really old. I know Gene is certainly older than I am. He's
I-
old enough to be my brother.
I did hear a story I've never been able to verify about the Swiss mission, that there was an area conference, I think in Munich, right before the Olympics. And supposedly the mission staff took their van and drove to Greece or something like that. Italy, or they drove somewhere and back and all got in trouble for it. I've never been able to verify if that was true. That was a rumor going around.
How far was it, Gene or Tim?
From Switzerland to Greece.
Germany? Oh,
They were in
Greece.
It was a Swiss mission. I don't know how far. Anyway, they just went for a tour of Europe when the mission president's wife were gone. They decided to go. Yeah.
That's leaving the mission boundaries is kind of a big
Yeah.
deal now. They probably would have gotten sent home.
I don't know. Probably. I don't know what happened to him. I don't know.
So,
We
Randy,
just-
do you want to share this?
What's this?
Yeah. When I was working at Walt Disney World, it was in Orlando, Florida, and I don't know if anyone has heard of Benny Hinn, but he's a very, very famous what do they call him? Evangelist. And he has a huge chapel and he's incredibly wealthy. He had a couple of jets that were his own private jets and all these fancy cars. Did it all in the name of heaven. But this man would call people up and he would heal them and then they'd drop to the ground, or he could wave his arm and everybody falls down. Jane, can you click on play there? Holy Spirit, thou art welcome in this place. Holy Spirit, thou art welcome in this place. So are you kidding me? This goes on all over all over the world, where these evangelists wave their hands and people fall and start going into convulsions and things.
This is how the Mormon church was when Randy was a kid in the 1830s, the early 1830s.
That's right. This early Mormonism was. Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
So one of my partners at Walt Disney World, when I say partner, one of my working companions, he was a detective as well. He was Benny Hinn's nephew. And he worked for Benny Hinn on Sundays when Benny Hinn would call people up and, cast everything, all the illness out of them, and they'd fall to the ground. Will was one of the catchers for Benny. So I asked him one day, I said, look, is that real? And I said, are these people really passing out like that? He goes, oh, yeah. But he said, I guarantee you, it's not the power of God that's making them fall, if you know what I mean.
So his literal job title was catcher.
Yeah, Benny Hinn had a group of catchers that would, like when they'd call someone up out of the audience, someone who was paralyzed and
Hit them on the head and they're going to fall back.
yeah, yeah. Or he'll blow on them and say, just do all these, wave his hand, and they just fall to the ground, and then they get up and they're healed. But my Will said, it's not the power of God. I said, are you saying
the
that
Mormons have the power of God, and this other stuff must be the power of Satan to try to draw people away from Mormonism?
He alluded to the fact that it was Satan, that these people got possessed and that they never stayed well, and I've often wondered, because of course we know that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has the truth, the power, the authority to heal in the name of God. So why don't the apostles walk through the children's hospitals and heal all these kids and let them walk out cancer free?
That'd be so loving.
Right? Wouldn't it?
Yep. Because
It would cost them
if you
nothing.
actually did have that power, that's really how you should be spending your time.
That's right. That's right.
And I would hope that if they really had that power, like they claim they do, that they would use it.
That's right.
When it comes to
Bednar is hoping that Mormons have the faith not to be healed. And as ex-Mormons, we have the faith not to pay tithing, not to attend church,
That's right.
not to listen to any of their bullshit anymore. That's how much faith we have. That's
That's
like
right.
4 or 5 times more faith than
as
the
my
Mormons.
wife was lying in the hospital dying of cancer, my sisters kept telling me, and I probably have said this before, but they kept telling me that they put her name on the prayer roll in the temple, and that's good for all the temples in the world. And I said, what is the difference between putting her name on the temple prayer roll or maybe having her son get on his knees and humbly ask God to heal her? Which is more powerful? And she's like, I said, the faith of a child or a temple prayer roll? And guess what? Neither one of them worked. And I didn't have the faith to have her not be healed. I was, I was just desperate to have
And
him.
later on, you wished you had the faith to not pay $30,000 in tithing.
Oh, I know. Yeah. My blood pressure just went when you said that. Thought I could buy my eternal existence with her because the bishop said.
Because the bishop said so.
Yep. He said, are you all caught up on your tithing? And I took the life insurance policy and I wrote the check to the church.
Wow.
To catch up all my tithing.
So awful.
Yeah.
Well,
It's extortion.
Yeah.
When, I was just looking at C. Cheadle's comment about having been to see Benny Hinn live. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, this is a big show, and it's incredible that people all over the world are paying money to be healed. When that collection plate rolls around, let's funnel the money into that. This is all a big financial gain. And I just wanted to kind of bring out the point that faith in these farces make us do crazy things. Look at the temple. Look at the rituals that go on inside the temple. That's pretty crazy if you've ever seen a video of it or if you've ever been in there to watch it. And you'd say, why? What's going on? Well, it's that same thing, that same mentality. It's God that you're serving right there. This is the power of God. And when we get into that celestial room, keep your eyes open because you may see Jesus Christ live and in person.
That's right. And I'm ready to do a commercial. I heard I read Randy's story this morning where he lost his wife, and then the bishop once Randy was feeling so heartbroken, the bishop said, all you have to do is pay your tithing on the insurance money you got. And it was from this book that I read, Randy's story, written by our friend, Lila Tueller.
Yep.
Oh, Lila.
Oh,
Yep.
Yeah.
And so-
It's an incredible book.
When religion causes harm. And that's what today's show is, when missions cause harm. But this is an example.
Lila was, yeah.
Hey,
I've
look at that.
I've got mine down in my room because I'm still finishing it off, but Lila sent me a copy with a beautiful note in it, and
You can find it on
means the
Amazon.
world to me.
Here's a book I'm reading now.
Just like Megan sent
Carter.
me her book with a beautiful note in it. And by the way, my Amanda has read your book now twice.
Oh,
She's
wow.
on her second round of reading it.
Wow.
Wow. Well, that makes me feel good, because it makes me think of, it must not be as bad as I think it is.
It's not bad. It's a beautiful book.
Thank you.
Cool.
Well,
With
I
a touching
appreciate
story.
everybody sorry, what, Randy?
Oh, with a very touching story in it.
Thank
and
you.
really humanizes you and makes people love and empathize with you.
Thank you. Well, I just did an episode on the Two Nomos podcast, which I think Randy and Jean, you've been on that one as well.
They've
where I
been on
told-
ours. So,
Yeah, I told a little bit more of that story. I know a lot of people on my channel who came to me because of my family's case haven't heard a lot about that story. So I'm going to play that episode on my channel as well
good.
a little later. I think actually later this evening.
Great. I love them. They are hilarious. And I can imagine what a great interview it was with you.
Yeah. And we're going to do 2 more episodes. We're going to do one on the case because they don't know all the details. And then we're going to do another one where we do a little bit of drunk Mormon history.
That was a true Randy C. Watts moment, because I was just going through YouTube and saw them, and I was thinking, oh, I want to be friends with them. And I looked on Erica's page, and there was a picture of my son, Garrett. And so I wrote her a note. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love your work, and I'm wondering how are you friends with my son? She said, oh, him and I worked on a TV show together when 15 years ago or whatever. And it's like, holy crap. And then we end up, getting to interview him. And yeah, it's had a very great ending.
The
That's
6 degrees of separation of Randy C. Watts.
Right.
Yeah, and I actually had never met them in person until I went to Sunstone. I had been following, their Instagram channel and absolutely loved them. And then lo and behold, they walked past my table at Sunstone, and I had to stop them and say, an ex-mo and a no-mo walk into a bar. I love your podcast. And they were like, oh, thank you. And then they realized who I was, and they realized that they knew me. And so it was another Randy C. Watts moment. And that's how we ended up getting together.
Well, I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah. It's a great episode.
And Megan, go ahead and tell us what's happening with you this week. You got Monday Family Home Evening.
That's right. Kiki and I are doing Monday Family Home Evening, Family Night, tomorrow night, from the Book of Mormon Reader, from my original 1978 copy. And we're going to be talking about the story of the brother of Jared, which is where God touched the stones and they turned to light. And so our family home evening treat will definitely be on the rocks this week.
This is
you
my
go.
brother,
Yeah,
Jared,
it'll be
and my
fun.
other brother, Jared.
That's right.
Yeah, my brother.
Are you doing anything else, say, later in the week? You going anywhere? Out of town, maybe?
I actually am going out of town on Thursday. I will be heading up to Denver, Colorado to attend Crime Con for the first time. I have a little bit of trepidation about it. I don't know what to expect, but I will be there with Trisha from Web Sleuths. I know that my friend Lauren Matthias and her producer Grayson will be there. I'm looking forward to seeing Joel Waldman from Surviving the Survivor. I hope actually I'll run into a lot of my podcaster friends there at the very least. And then, there will probably be I definitely will be doing some lives from CrimeCon to show everybody what it's all about. I'm sure there will be some oddities as well as some learning experiences.
You may have so much fun you'll want to go every year.
I might.
Yeah.
You never
And
know.
it's not outside the realm that Lori Vallow makes an appearance if Jesus would just step up and break down the walls of her prison.
That's right. I've heard that he is going to just tear down the prison walls and that the prisoners are going to walk free. That's what I've heard.
Wow.
I'm excited to see that.
That'll be exciting to see.
Yeah.
What about you guys? What do you have coming up this week?
I'm going to the kidney doctor. That's fun.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's about it.
How about you, Tim? What are you and your cats up to this week?
Wait, for Randy, I have to tell him you're in luck.
Ha
What am I getting? Well, I think Tuesday we're going to talk about the endowment. At least that's our plan.
Oh, goodness.
Um,
Thanks for warning me.
well, we're going to talk about some history stuff.
I know what the subject of our after show should be, but I'll share it with you privately later.
And
Yeah,
also, this is the week that the 20th anniversary of Mormon News Podcast showed up first on YouTube. And so we're going to do a show on Thursday commemorating that. And we're going to invite people to come and give an appreciative thanks to John DeLynn and everyone at Open Stories Foundation and Mormon Stories. And so more news to come on that. Check out our channel and you'll get more information coming up.
Yeah. Well, thanks, guys. It's been fun as always.
Oh yeah, Tuesdays with Tim is going to happen.
Yeah, we just talked
Yes,
about that.
that's right.
I'm guessing
Yep.
Tuesday. Oh yeah,
Probably
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, and don't forget to check out our sponsors: paying tithing, serving an LDS mission, and being an LDS seminary teacher. Thanks to our sponsors.
Brought
That's
to
right.
you by
That's right.
Vegan.
You good?
So and what did we need to sign homework also because the following week, the Tuesdays with Tim will be about the new docu-series.
Yeah.
We want everybody to watch that.
Oh,
An inconvenient faith.
An Inconvenient Faith. Yes, everybody
Yeah.
watch it.
Is
So
it
we
true
can
Al
talk about it.
Gore did that?
Who?
I don't know.
Al Gore?
No,
I-
I don't think that he was involved in the creation of that documentary or the internet.
And
There's
I
no
want to.
reverse hockey stick of the decline of Mormonism.
I want to encourage everybody to go watch that 3-hour video on sex abuse and Nelson and all kinds of strange ties to Skull and Bones at the U of U. And
Oh yeah, do you remember who the podcasters were on that?
I think it's called Injustice for All or Liberty for All.
Yeah, it's Liberty. Shoot, I can't remember. But also, you should check out the channel Difficult Research. Crusha Easton and Joe Schmo 88. They do an excellent deep dive into SRA in Utah, and they talk about this as well, the Skull and Bones and Nelson's involvement.
Yeah,
That's a good teaser because now I want to watch it.
it's really good. It's excellent.
Maybe, Tim, maybe you can share the link you're talking about with Gene, and he can put it in the show notes.
Okay, yeah.
Is this the documentary that you were talking
No,
about, or is
it's-
this something different?
It's in our panel. I just put it in our panel,
Oh,
It's in the
good.
panel
Okay.
chat.
the Facebook panel, yeah. But I watched part of it last night and finished watching the rest of it today, and I was just blown away.
Very cool.
Right.
Well, you guys, if you haven't liked this, well, we know
Like,
you've
share,
loved
and
it, but
subscribe.
please hit that like button and subscribe to all three of our channels because we're just We just love to hoard subscriptions.
That's right. We want hard subscriptions. We want to be number one.
All right. Take care, guys. We'll see you
Thanks
soon.
for watching. Have a great
Bye-bye.
rest of
Bye.
2025. Bye bye.